Hi, I'm Chris Meadows, president of Harvest Girls International Incorporated. I am so excited to come to you on today. Today is a powerful day because today on Let's Talk About It, we have some powerful women here with us. We're going to be talking about love yourself first. I know. Everybody says, I love myself. I take care of myself. I fix myself up. I do pedicures. I buy the Louis Vuitton purses. I do all that. And what you're going to find out today, none of that has to do with self-love. You know, it's great to do all those things when you're talking about on the outside. But today we're going to internalize it and go on the inside. And so I'm so excited to be with you today with some very, as I said earlier, fantastic women. But first, let me tell you a little bit about your sponsor. Harvest Girls International is a women's empowerment organization designed with you in mind. At Harvest Girls International, we empower women to celebrate the journey and young girls ages 9 through 17 with the power to dream. We've been doing this for about 14 years now. And so we are still innovating ourselves and we're still trying to, keep up with whatever is going on so we can bring you the best in empowerment. And this is an empowerment session for all women of all ages, of no matter what your background is. This is going to bless you today. So I want to get started. Really excited about all my guests. And first I want to start with Weslyn Waties. Weslyn, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, well, hello. My name is Weslyn Waties, and I have a nonprofit. It's called Beneath God's Wings. It's to help women and children of domestic violence. So I'm more of the behind the scenes, the advocate kind of, pushing, trying to get it out there. So, and I've tried to help, women get to a safe place, do teachings. I love to speak about domestic violence and the ways to detect it and ways to build an escape plan. So
absolutely necessary. Yeah. And I know once we get into this, you have some amazing things to tell us about loving yourself through those types of situations. So yeah, we're going to be excited to hear that. Next, we have Cantrell. Karen, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello, my name's Cantrell. I am the owner of BK Fashion PPE. I am a dental professional, so I want to be cute at work and add my own little flavor to my personal protective eyewear. So I was supposed to get some, but I was rushing home trying to put on some makeup and some lashes so that I could be presentable. But I've been seeing patients all day. I've been in dentistry for about 22 years. And I'm just here because Miss Chris is amazing, what she stands for and the organization. And my daughter, Brooklyn, was one of the recipients of the Harvest Girl. Scholarship. Yes, ma'am. Scholarship. Yes.
Well, let me tell you, ladies. So what we're going to do for the audience, because you can't keep up sometimes, every lady on here, we're going to drop their information in the description box below. And so if you want to contact any of these ladies or see Karen's products or whatever they do, you'll be able to do that. Okay. So no worries there. And Janette.
Hello, ladies and gents. My name is Janette Jackson. I am in the Human Resources Director for the government entity. I have been in that area for about 5 years, but I also have an extensive background also working with children through child services, as well in higher education in the sports arena. So that's very broad, but I have a true passion for helping others and providing a need and service to others, especially young women and girls. They have a deep, deep passion in my heart for them. So thank you so much for Chris for allowing me to be a part of this program.
Yeah, and Janette's been a volunteer for Harvest Girls International for about 8-9 years or so, or maybe even more. And she continues to volunteer and support. And she's just been amazing in that role. And so thank you so much, Janette. Thank you, ladies, for coming on. Now, listen, I'm going to ask you ladies to turn your volumes up a little bit or all the way. All of you have very soft voices. I have this booming voice. And so I want you to be heard as much as I'm being heard, okay? So we want to get started. I know, when we first jump in and we talk about loving yourself, we have so many things that go across our mind. And, we talk about it, but what happens when we actually start to practice it? What does that look like? And so I had a girlfriend that I've been friends with since I was 12, and we're now 63. And she said to me at 63 years old, she said, how do I love myself? I don't think I know. And so I know that it can be true, because in my life, I had to stop and think, when did I stop loving myself? And then I thought, but did I ever? And sometimes we have never truly loved ourselves when we're talking about practicing loving yourself, because in our world that we're raised in, we're taught to love other people, love other people, show other people love. All my life, raised to love everybody, love it. But nobody said to me, but you gotta love yourself, because they didn't know either. And if you think about it, we're taught, even in our culture, in our religious backgrounds, we're taught to love other people. And the thing that I think that we miss is that we think that when we give to other people, when we deny ourselves and do for others, then we're showing unconditional love and we're showing love. But in reality, if you never ever showed that to yourself, then you haven't loved at all. And that's what it's all about. So listen, I want to ask a few questions, but I want to start, ladies, just jump in. Do you think that loving yourself has to do with your self-esteem? That's the question I first want to ask. Do you think that? Now, this was not on our list or anything. I'm just throwing this out there. Do you think that that is a part of your self-esteem? Weslyn, I'm just going to start with you.
Yes, that's where it kind of starts. Yes, I do believe it is self-esteem, because if you don't think high enough about yourself, then you're not going to be able to, because my parents have always taught me, you teach people how to treat you.
Absolutely.
So if you don't respect yourself enough, have enough self-esteem that believe you are enough, you are worth it, then that's where we start putting ourselves, our feelings, our emotions on the back burner and put everybody, our husbands, our friends, everybody, children, before ourselves. So yes, because I was raised to believe in myself, to love myself, because I am a product of my parents, and I'm not to go out and embarrass them.
Yes.
And that's how we were raised. So
yes. And so the core value has a lot to do with it. We call them core values, what was put in you, and then what you picked up along the way with your peers and the peer pressure and all that stuff along the way. And then that kind of shifts you into, and your experiences and all of that thing, stuff like that. So what I want to say, Weslyn, you had a key point. Self-love is the foundation for who we are. You said if you don't think that you're worth it. And so if we don't have the foundation of self-worth, then, and it's not solid, and it depends on somebody else's opinion, then we start to say, well, then love for myself looks like this, when it's not. It's actually what other people are telling you, because it's the story you're telling yourself about you that matters the most. What do you think of you? Like you said, if I don't think I'm worth it, if I don't think I'm the prize, who else is going to think that, right? Let me get on to another question here. I want to just ask Karen. I want to ask a question here. Let me put my questions up, ladies. I had them somewhere. And in the midst of me trying to fool with this phone, okay, I got them. Okay. So let me ask you, Janette, first, the same one I asked Wesley. Do you think that loving yourself has to do with self-esteem?
Absolutely, Chris. As you stated earlier, you said that sometimes we always hear other people always saying positive things to us, but if we don't believe it ourselves, then we're not going to feel good about ourselves, and we're not going to know how to love ourselves. So I can hear you're beautiful, you're successful, you're wonderful, you're all these type of things. But if I don't believe in myself, then I'm not really going to know how to love myself. And so that can be a very big topic, and a way of how we may not understand self-love.
And then I also think, and that's a great point, I get that. Because then when you hear it, you depend on it to hear, and you don't love yourself until somebody starts, well, didn't nobody tell me I did good? Well, they didn't say. And then you start, as I can say, dancing around things, tap dancing to get the response that you need to feel validated. And that makes you feel like somebody cares about you or loves you.
That makes a good point about like a child that's misbehaving in school because they're seeking that attention, whether it's good or bad. So I agree with you, Miss Chris, on that point.
Yeah. And so
can I say one thing?
Go ahead, Wesley.
Can I say one thing too?
Go ahead.
And not to down anybody's parents or anything, but I also have been taught that, or I've come to understand, you cannot teach what you don't know, and you cannot give what you don't have.
That's
true.
Good.
That is true.
And that has a lot to do with our self-esteem too. If we can't give to ourselves, if we can't love ourselves, we can't truly love others. So I'm done.
Because see, parents, we can point them in the right direction, the young girls, our young girls, but still it could be some distortion there from an experience or something that has happened. And so we just have to make sure as parents that and I don't have girls. That's the other thing. I have boys and I don't have girls. So, and Weslyn, neither do you. And so I look at it and I know that's why I love empowering young girls and women, because I know I was a people pleaser. I love for them to say, oh, she did so wonderful. Oh, she's so pretty. Oh, she speaks so well. And I just all my life, just keep doing that because that made me feel good. I didn't know anything about loving myself. I didn't even know I had a say in it. I thought it came from other people. I didn't know any better. Karen, let me ask you, do you think that loving yourself has to do with self-esteem? Tell us to a degree or a time when you figured it out that it's what you thought about yourself to love yourself made the difference.
Well, it's ironic. I was at the dollar store today. Can you see this? Well, anyway, if you can't see it, it says happiness blooms from within.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So I was like, oh my God, this is perfect for today, because happiness, also love, is a seed that we all carry, and it's cultivated by the self-talk that we say to ourselves, the things that we do to, get yourselves motivated. So definitely, I think it has a lot to do with your self-esteem, like self-love.
Yeah.
I think like goal setting for me is what made me realize that I need to love myself, especially like you said, with the kids. My kids are older now, of course, 22 and 20, but once they went their own way, I didn't have anything to do. I was coming home to an empty house, dark house. And I was pretty much depressed because I didn't have anything to do. So I had to realize, what can I do to put myself first again? Therefore, thus loving myself, prioritizing myself. But I forgot your question though.
No, that's okay, because you had to recreate. What it looked like. You didn't know what it looked like after the kids were gone. So you had to recreate it. And you had to, what we don't realize, we have the power to create what we want our lives to be or to look like. I mean, some people say, well, no, I'm just sitting here and God's just I'm gonna wait on him to tell me what to do. That's great. But I always love this saying by Jewel Diamond Taylor, pray with your feet.
Yeah.
Get to moving, make some things happen, walk by faith and not by sight. Let's go. Let's have some faith enough to get moving. Get going, get moving. And so I think that that's really important, that we understand sometimes that self-love can be exhausting, because it takes a lot out of you to work on you, to be a mother, or just to be a single person. Janette, let's talk about that. Self-love, and you have a daughter, you're single. What does that look like for you, trying to keep up with loving yourself?
Absolutely. So I am a single mother of a 10-year-old, very vibrant strong-willed 10-year-old girl, young lady. So I don't know about you all, but Weslyn said it earlier. We're taught different things at a young age. So as a teenager, I was taught about love yourself, but you really don't really know how to love yourself because you hear it. And then in the 20s, I thought I was loving myself, but I really didn't know about loving myself until my 30s. I'm in my 40s now. So it was after the birth of my daughter. We put so much attention into our children, as we said earlier, that we sometimes lose ourselves.
Yes.
We don't know how to show love and care to ourselves. But then you realize, if I don't take care of me and understand where self-love comes from, then I'm not going to be any good for my daughter or for anyone else. So I really didn't understand self-love until I was in my 30s and realized that self-care, self-love depends on me. And it is okay to take time away from myself and to love myself. Loving myself could be just sit and have a cup of tea by myself somewhere, or it could be going to the movie somewhere, having dinner by myself, taking a nap, or whatever it may look like. But it always doesn't have to be in the form of validation from others, but just understanding and speaking into my own self, and knowing that if I'm good enough and speaking words of wisdom and taking care of self, I can and also be for my daughter, and especially her being a girl. There is so much out there, especially for these young ladies. And I don't want her to ever get under the wrong impression of what love looks like. I want her to know it from her mother, and know that it's okay to be by yourself, to understand that you don't need validation from others, but if you have it for yourself, and know that you are loved and you're speaking life into yourself. That's what that piece looks like.
That's it.
It's so big right now because the children are, even us, we have so much access to, readily information, the internet, social media, and you're out. A lot of times you're comparing yourself to what I should be doing because of this timeline that social standards have for me, or I should be finished with this, or I should be starting a family, I should have this much money saved. Again, that's why happiness comes from within. It blooms from within, because we all have those seeds, and your seed may be germinated at this time, my seed may be at this time. So if you don't understand that self-love, then you will be upset or trying to compare yourself with the apperances or what people post.
That's it. That's a whole other subject. But Weslyn, I want to ask you this question first. I want to ask Weslyn, when did you realize it was necessary to love yourself? What experience did you have that made you realize it was necessary to love yourself first?
Okay, well, I'm getting ready to be real transparent here. So,
please.
So
I knew you would.
So when I had to realize that when I had to relearn to love Weslyn was when I married young. I married my high school sweetheart, and we moved to Atlanta, and everything was going good. And then all of a sudden he started drinking and wanted to fight, and got real abusive, physically, emotionally, verbally. And I started saying, okay, how do I deal with this? So thank God my grandparents and my great grandparents introduced Christ to me at a young age. So that's when I was like, okay, I had to start praying again, because I was like, Lord, I know this is not what my parents lived through. This is not what they taught me. And so I started self-evaluating. And then when my son was born, I realized it's either him or myself. So that's when I knew I had to go. And then I said, I have to love me enough so I can take care of my son. I had to raise, I had to be a single mother at the time.
You probably, Weslyn, had to love yourself enough to leave.
That's right. That's why I say I had to teach myself. I had to relearn to love Weslyn again.
Right.
Because once I started respecting and loving me and saying, okay, I didn't grow up like this. This is not me. I'm stronger than what I'm going through. There it is.
Self-talk. That's self-talk. And see, I tell people all the time, sometimes it's the story you telling yourself that's sometimes going to save you. It's going to make you or break you. Karen, I want to ask you, when did you realize it was necessary to love yourself first?
A pivotal point for me, I would say, was about June 2020, after the pandemic. As you see, I've taken on a new view on life, and I've started traveling a lot, right? Because, like you said, God did not create the wonders of the world for me to have a Range Rover, which I had brand new off the lot. For what? Because that was a very expensive car payment, breaking me, or a Gucci bag. So once my father passed of COVID in June of 2020, and it made me reevaluate what's important, life, and giving people their roses while they really can smell them. So at that time, of course, when the kids were, going through transition and going to college, Brooklyn going to college, and, having her own life, and my son doing his own thing, coming home to an empty house, really made me depressed. But then when my father passed, I was a daddy's girl. It just made me realize that, life is short, and you want to love on the ones that he had dementia and Alzheimer's, and just to see him transition that way really broke me down. So I realized that I had to, like you said, self-talk, positive things, because what you think about, you bring about, whether if it's negative or positive.
That's it.
If you think positive thoughts, and those things will happen. If you think negative things, you will speak those things into existence.
Yes.
Right? So I just had to change my mindset and thought process, and create the narrative that I'm going to see the world. God created this world not for me to have things, but to enjoy the wonders that He's created.
That's right.
Awesome. And didn't I see you in Paris or something? You had pictures of
I was in Italy.
Italy, yes. I was like, oh my, and it was gorgeous. And you looked gorgeous being there. That is amazing. So just because you started to tap into to having an awakening to your own self-love, how does that feel? Does that feel liberating?
Ooh. Absolutely. And you're so grateful and thankful for God, breaking those generational curses, or like you said, you have to give to others always, or you have to say no, you feel guilty. Like, no, because I would say no, or give an explanation. Can I have $20, family members? No, because I have to pay this bill, or no, because I have to send Brooklyn money to college. No, just say no.
Just say no. And let me tell you, I always tell this to ladies, no is an empowering word.
Yes, it is.
Yes. No with a period. No, but no, just no, period. And then people, as Weslyn said earlier, teaching people how to treat you, they will know. They can't just come to you with that any kind of thing, because they know you just go, no, and that's it.
Come out.
Yes. Janette, real quick here. When did you realize it was necessary to love yourself first?
We all have, I've heard the word of depression and down and out. I sometimes when you relearn how to love, you love others, you fall in love, heartbreak, heartache, relationships, all that. I went through I didn't realize it at the time, but I went through a deep depression after having my child, and breakups of relationships. And I just didn't even know it until years afterwards. But then that's the moment that I realized that I needed to, it took a couple of years that I had to do more for myself, and that I didn't need love from a man to be able to love for self. So, and that was in my early 30s. And then I just realized you got to get up and make some changes for self. And then I just always think about my daughter. She was so young, and she's a girl. So I want her to be able to see her mother happy, and knowing how to love herself, and knowing that it's okay for certain things to happen in life, and you can continue to move forward. And so I always say, you don't need a love from, it's nice to have love, real love for someone, but heartache and pain is going to happen. But how do you get through that heartache and pain of finding yourself and loving yourself again? So when you realize that, then you can look back and be like, why did I wait so long for this? Why did I wait so long to find this self-love that's been there, but you didn't know what it looks like? You don't know
There
what it
you
always
go.
looks
What it look
like.
There
like.
it is.
And I think you can best know what you're looking for when you know what it looks like. In you
Absolutely.
first.
In you. Yes.
In you
in
first. Yes. And so you know, I'm really excited about this conversation because I want to ask the last question, and I want you to kind of think about it. I sent you the questions early because I wanted you to really have a bead on what you wanted to say or tell, and I don't like to catch women off guard in this respect. But I want you to tell the viewers how self-love saved your life. And Janette, I'll start with you.
Woo-wee. Self-love really saved my life. As I said, like I had a really bad breakup. You know, sometimes you don't realize how much you're in love until after your the heartbreak happens. And it took years and years of healing, of the unknown part of healing. So my daughter was probably still young, still toddler age. And so I was still down, sad, dragging around, looking like I was sad. You don't realize until you look back and you're like, this wasn't me. I knew that was not me. I was not like that in my 20s. I was very vibrant, outgoing, out there networking, always in the know and in a mix of good positive energy and surrounding myself with that. And when I saw that that's not what was happening in my life, I said I had to make a change. And then with my daughter, I said, she'll just have to be there with me, whatever I do. So I made it intentional, whatever decisions and places that I went, that it wasn't an option. She had to be there until I got to a certain stage of where she wasn't. But through that process, and I mean, it took me probably a good 3 to 5 years. And that is true transparency for me to figure out, where does this love start? I started dressing different. I had to start fixing myself up a little bit more in my appearance, because sometimes we put on something nice, clean ourselves up a little bit better, it makes us start feeling good. And we talked about self-esteem in the beginning. So a lot of your self-esteem sometimes goes away. So I had to rebuild my self-esteem and then start finding myself again, reading positive affirmations, getting back in the word a little stronger. I was always connected. Don't get it twisted there. I was always connected with the source and our God. But I also knew that I need to find a way and an outlet. That's how I got into Harvest Girls, because that was one of the first things I was determined to do. So Harvest Girls, little does Chris know, it helped save me. Being around those other young ladies and seeing and being able to help them and not knowing that they were really helping me too. So
that's the way it works.
That's how it is.
That's how it works. Yeah. Karen, so tell us how self-love saved your life.
I would say that self-love saved my life by sharing, because sometimes you feel like you're the only one that's going through something, like the mental illness with Miss America. Or was she Miss America?
Miss USA.
Read the article.
Miss USA.
Yes, Miss USA. I did read the article about that. But being able to share and being transparent, like our other guests, really helps. Because sometimes we have an air our front that we have it all together, and little do we know that we see it anyway. We know that something's not right, or that you're struggling with something, but you're trying to put on that air that you have it all together and there's nothing wrong. Oh, you have your degree, you have your 6-figure salary, but you're still broken inside. So by me being able to be transparent and being honest, not only with myself, but with others, helps save my life.
Oh, that's amazing.
Amen.
I love it.
That's
I
awesome.
love Weslyn. Same question.
Yeah. Well, I think self-love saved my life because I when I moved back here and was with my family, I think building my relationship with God really helped me learn to love myself, when I really truly understood that I am fearfully and wonderfully made, and that if God is fearful to make me, that I'm beautiful, and I have to build myself back up to say, I wrote affirmations on my mirror. My son used to say, "What's that mean, mommy?" I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. I am who God says I am. And so those were the self-affirmations, and reading scripture, and just, my family helped too. And so I think, the self-love that I found within myself, like you said, to even leave, to say, I'm not doing this, I'm better than, I deserve better, saved my life. And I think it was just an awakening, and I felt so free once I just finally just turned everything over to God and said, I'm good by myself, raising my child, and just I put God in myself first, and then my son.
Yeah, and you did the work, and so many times we all, ladies, you hear sound like all of you put in the work. I meet so many women, and I'm a life coach, so therefore I have so many women that want me to do the work for them, and they don't realize this is not how this works. I'm only your guide. You do the work. And so I just want to give you quickly one instance for myself of how self-love saved my life. I was dealing oh my goodness, I was dealing with depression. I was dealing with low self-esteem, and like Janette, never had been before. Always, and then I couldn't figure out when it went south. What happened? When did I stop loving myself? When did I stop caring about my weight, my health, my finances? I got so when you're in a state of depression to where you can't even manage your money. I was state of depression, making good money, and could not manage it because here was so shattered and wounded, and I couldn't. I would wear the same clothes 2 or 3 times in a week, repeating, and didn't know I had repeated. There's just so many things that I could share with you, but the biggest thing is how it saved my life is I was the kind of person, I didn't know the middle ground for me. I had a soft spot, and then I could go to 100 and rip your head off. So I didn't have that middle ground. And so I ended up being diagnosed with being homicidal because I was so angry and so hurt that I wanted to hurt somebody.
Hurt people.
Yes, and we do. And I didn't, praise God. But the point that saved my life was the fact when I was driving and I had just spaced out and I ran a red light and no other cars were coming. Whoo, I don't even know. That light was red for a long time, and I just kept, and I wasn't looking. I was all in my head somewhere. Ran that light, and when I got through it, I realized halfway through it, it was red. And I stopped, pulled over, my heart was racing, and I said, Chris, you got to save yourself. Because my kids were in the car. And we all could have died that day. And he said, in order for you to save them, you got to save you. And you got to love yourself enough to do it. And I did. I went and got the help I needed. I started, and little did I know that work would turn into this work. And that's what happened. I did the work for me, to save my life, to save myself, to love myself, to dig deep down on the inside of me in order to save me. And then I couldn't keep it to myself. I had to share it with everybody else. And so that's how Harvest Girls International started. I want to leave the viewers with just a few steps to loving yourself, something I found on the internet. I thought this was pretty good from what I normally teach. Number one is to recognize and prioritize your needs. Most of us don't even know what we need because we're so busy doing for other people.
I agree.
You need some rest. Okay. Loving yourself is this. Let's say this. Taking care of your health. Taking care of your finances. That's part of self-care, self-love. Finances, health. What else, ladies? Help me.
Mental. Your
mental. Yes. Your spiritual.
Your spiritual.
Your spiritual.
Yeah, spiritual. Yeah, your spirituality. Absolutely. And so we got to recognize and prioritize our needs. We have to be the priority. We have to be. And then the next one is gain a true sense of self. Some people don't even know who they are. They don't know what color they like. They don't know what makes them angry. They don't know their triggers. They don't know what makes them. I know now for sure what makes me gain weight. I used to think, I'm gaining weight. I don't know why. Yeah, you eating too much. I had to tell myself that. You're eating junk food. I cut out a lot of things that I discovered that my body said, we don't digest this right. But I was eating it anyway because it was good. But you learn to gain a true sense of self. You've got to know what makes you tick on the inside and out. I know what are triggers for me. When we were in the pandemic, I had to stop shopping on the internet because I said, oh, I ain't spending much money, and I was spending more money because I got addicted to internet shopping. So you got to recognize a true sense of yourself so you can correct some things, okay?
And also working out will help your mind, your body, and your spirit. You have to say that has to be a priority, because when the pandemic first hit, that's all I did every day is work out. See, you help my psyche. You were already focused. And see, I get distracted easy, so that's why I have to have a strong sense of who I am so I can get back into it. Set loving boundaries, and that's what other people, with yourself and other people, boundaries. Like Karen said, no, that's a boundary. No. You will have the ability to identify what it is, and if it isn't good for you, you don't have to do it. Because I'll tell people that won't work for me. I'm sorry, that's not gonna work for me. Right. And I used to be kind of shameful to say that or afraid to say that. Yeah. And it's okay, because I matter first. You got to prevent self-sabotage. You got to stop sabotaging yourself, because we do that. Like I just talked about sabotaging myself, but you have to prevent that. And I've got some tools in place to help me stop sabotaging myself. Everything is finally going great. Then all of a sudden the sabotage comes and it snatches all that work you've done, that feeling like you thought you were going to get the loan for the car and you feeling good and everything. And then when that doesn't go through, you feel like, oh, that's the worst thing. And then you go shop more, or you go eat more, or you go do something, drink more, or because something else didn't work for you. That's self-sabotaging. Stop it. It's not necessary and it's not worth it. Go ahead, Karen.
So Dr. Gerald Bell teaches, and it's someone that advocates for my company, Heartland Dental, that each person every day has 100 problems. Every day you work up with 100 problems. So the problem could be your alarm didn't go off. Then you're out of gas. Not major problems, but things that you have to deal with, right? But it teaches you to understand that the problems will come, but what's your reaction to them?
There you go.
Know that they're going to come.
Yeah.
I used to have all over my house, prior proper planning prevents piss poor performance. I had it in the bathroom, the kids' bathroom, on the refrigerator, and I used to point to it. What's it? Prior proper planning prevents piss poor performance.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
Yes.
And that's what I love. I love about what you're saying.
Prepare for them.
Yes.
That's true. Yeah.
Yes.
That is very true.
And I love what you're saying, because that is so true. And give love without feeling depleted. When somebody is sapping all the life out of you and you have nothing left for yourself, it's wrong. Stop it. Give love without feeling depleted.
Right. But it's also too making yourself the priority, because why make somebody else a priority if you're going to put yourself on the back burner?
And I always say, don't make others a priority when they've only made you an option.
Yes.
We start,
and that's what I was looking for too. Yes.
And then we're gonna, because we're running out of time, so I'm gonna read real quick. And this last one I love. It says, find your own happy. It is your job to find your own happiness. It's not up to the world, your husband, your boyfriend, your mother, your children to make you happy. It's up to you to find your own happy. Yes. Well, ladies, I have to say this has been fun. This has been quick. We've been on here quite a little while, but we had a lot done. We may do a part 2. Would you ladies be willing to come back?
Absolutely.
Would you be willing to come back and do a part 2? Because this is a big subject. So we may come back a little bit later in a month or so and do it again and talk about some other other issues, but this is a big subject. We could go on and on with this. I appreciate every last one of you being there. Listen, audience, I thank you for tuning in. This has been great. This has been fun, but yet take the points, take the stories, use them to help build your life, help yourself, love yourself, be your own advocate for you in learning to love yourself. And if you need to ask how, you can contact any one of these ladies. Their information is in the description box down below, or you can go to harvestgirls.com and contact me. I'm the president, Chris Meadows, and I have enjoyed this today. And I want to say, I love you. I bless you. I wish you health and peace, and that you may prosper. Until next time, transformation begins with you. Bye-bye.
Bye.